Well, welcome to 2024, and we're going to talk a little bit. What's the name of our video thing here? It's
Casting for Unity.
Casting for Unity, and we've been, and in February, we will have been at this for 3 years.
3 years.
Back 3 years ago, we started with studying my book.
Don't do anything stupid.
Don't do
White
anything.
Man's Guide to Racial Harmony. He just wrote it. That's all.
Yeah, and it's been just a wonderful 3 year period of time, and we thought we would sort of rehash a couple of things that we've learned, and a couple of things of what's in store for this coming year, and what we have personally gained out of the deal. So. Dan, what have you learned over the last 3 years?
Yeah, I am not going to ever pretend to be politically correct. And as one who leans somewhat conservative, I'll just say it, when I would hear words like diversity, equity, inclusion, critical race theory, things like that, I had a tendency to react negatively, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the beginning, when John invited me to be a part of the group, I said no. First of all, I was going to be at 6 o'clock in the morning, which I wasn't thrilled about that, although I get up early. But he moved it to 7, and I thought, okay, we'll give that a shot. And I discovered quickly, and it sounds like a long story, but it's going to be very short, that I was ignorant and apathetic. I didn't see that there was a problem with racism, and that was apathy caused me to not dig deeper, and ignorance caused me to have that opinion in the first place. So what I have learned is that there's a lot of richness to be gained in your own life from understanding more about other people's stories, whether they be black, white, Chinese, whatever, and that our group as a whole, not to use an old cliche, is greater than the sum of its parts, because some of the stuff we've done in the community and some of the stuff we support each other on never would have happened if A, John hadn't been obedient to his tap during the devotional to write a book, and B, if we hadn't been intentional about continuing this thing. And it's not because we feel like it's an obligation. It's, want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've learned how to be more approachable, and I've learned that I actually yearn to have more relationships with people that are not like me.
I think it has been just an enormous learning experience for me also. One of the things is we're not super diverse with reflection of people that are high achievers. Almost everyone in there, black and white, are high achievers in their own regard. We have a district attorney in there. We have several pastors in there. We have engineers, business owners, you name it, we've got it in there. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that I've learned, and Anderson Walker is, I guess, our wise guru that's in there, and he's the pastor of New Harvest Community
Go back
Church.
And look at his video, by the way.
Yeah, go back and look at his video, and he talks about that, and there are no total generalities, but for the most part, many black people view things through the eyes of history. Mm-hmm. Many white people view things through the eyes of an incident. So when something happens in the community, we start off from different perspectives. I see it different because I look at an incident. Someone else, like Anderson, says, I see it, and I judge on history, and what I say is, oh, here we go again. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing I learned, is just how much of how we see things are based upon our backgrounds. Yeah. And one of the things we learned in doing this with other people is you just don't skimp on the time required to talk about one another's backgrounds, because it's just so important. Another thing that I learned doing this is that if you ask Dan or I in an initial conversation to tell me about yourself, well, I'm going to start telling you about my family and what I do and all this sort of stuff, and I'm going to go a long way. I may never mention the fact that I'm a white guy.
Right.
If you talk to most black people, that's going to come up within the first 3 to 5 items. That they're a black person, and for a little, I've done actually went and did a little research on this, and whites in the United States are the only race that really don't think about race very much at all. So therefore, we don't think it's important. And every other race, Hispanic, Asian, everybody else, has that close to the surface of their skin, and so it's a deal for them. And as a white person, if I want to get along with people better or understand people better, I need to understand that although it may not mean something to me, I'm in the minority in that thinking process. So it's just been an enormous learning experience. So we'll head into 2024. For the first time, our company has designated Martin Luther King Day as a company holiday. I've never done that before, and I had some cockamamie reason for not doing that. Obviously, it must have not been a good reason, but we look at it more as honoring a man that focused on unity, and he was and we think that's important, is to focus on being united in our community, because if we're united, we're going to get more things done. And so this coming Saturday, our group's going to participate in First Saturday Serve, which is we're going to be helping give away clothes to needy families and stuff like that. And throughout the year, we've been doing things like this. We're going to try to up our game this coming year. Then we're going to participate in a breakfast during Martin Luther King Day. Some of us may participate in the march we did last year. That went well in some respects, didn't go well in other respects. Right. So it's because we're sort of an oddball group marching in there, and so we're sort of a little bit out of our element, and we may have been more uncomfortable than we originally thought we would be. Mm-hmm. What else? All we're going to do, our church does 21 days of prayer and fasting to begin the year. We're carving out 7 days of that 21 days for our unity group to meet separately in the 21 days of prayer and fasting. And we're going to focus on a specific thing we want to conquer, and that is racism in Tuscaloosa community. And so the Holy Spirit's going to guide us, and we'll just see. Certainly don't know what we're going to come up with. I'm confident with the Holy Spirit guided, we'll come up with something pretty cool. That's right. So looking forward to that. Anything else we have right off the bat? We always go to the 4th of July reading of the Declaration of Independence on the courthouse steps. We do that together as a group. What else do we do?
Well, one thing we want to do this year, and again, you've seen the video of Anderson, but mm-hmm. we want to see more pastors in the community engaged in an effort like the one we're in. You can't fake being there, and that's going to be an outreach we do to try to gather some pastors together.
Yeah. One of the things that I send a blog out once a month, and we just got done finishing off today, and Pastor Walker has reminded us that Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail was not addressed to Ku Klux Klan members or white supremacists. It was addressed to moderate white pastors. And the deal he was having is that they were evidently being critical of him for the protests and the sit-ins and stuff that he was doing. And he was turning around saying, look, it's time to get off the bench. Yeah. And get in the game here. And so I think that letter, I went back and read the thing, and I would encourage you can just Google it, and it'll pop right up. It's a very interesting letter to read, and he poured from his heart. And he says, "Let's move. Let's get something done." And we're there today too. We're there, and we it's I don't know whether white pastors think they already know it all, or whether they think that it's not a problem to them, or whether they feel pressure from their congregation that they don't want to participate. But for the most part, many pastors feel very comfortable being isolated within their own church, and I don't know whether it's a power thing for them or what the deal is, but it's disappointing. And I hope we get them moving a little bit more next year. What have we gained? Dan, what have you gained? If you had to say, how has this helped Dan over the last 3 years?
I think I kind of mentioned it in the beginning. I've gained richness of relationships, and I think it's also made me more approachable and open. I want to reiterate again, and I'm not going to get into politics or anything, but I am decidedly a conservative person, and I hope that term is taken in the intent it was originally intended. I believe in smaller government, protecting our borders, things like that. I typically don't gravitate toward some of the divisive, and I'm sorry, that's what they are, the divisive forms of education as it relates to the racism problem. And I want my conservative friends to know what I know is that this is not about those things. This is about enriching your own life through having additional relationships. So what I've gained is those relationships, and I think I'm more approachable to people, and I think I've gained a desire to continue that on, not because I want to stir up more divisiveness, but because, as John said earlier, I want to bring more unity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel the same. Boy, my circle of friends has changed. If I sit around and if I sit around and say, who am I hanging around with, and who am I, really good friends with, and if I'm in a pickle, who am I going to call? I've gained a bunch of black friends.
I gotta tell a story on you right there.
Yeah.
I don't want to single out any because every single member of the group is precious to me, every single one. So I'm just using one example, but I'll give you an example. My parents had some health issues last year, some serious health issues. In fact, I lost both of them. But there was one time when my mom got carted to the emergency room, and the first person beat me to the emergency room was a 40-year-old scary black man. That's what he calls himself. I don't call him that. And that picture, this old, sure enough, 60-something-year-old white guy and this young black man, and he was there to support me. Man, if you'd have told me that was going to happen 3 years ago, I'd have told you you had two heads.
Yeah. We have a friend that's having some serious issues, and I was sort of looking for some guidance and talking to someone and get them involved. And one of the guys I called was Pastor Walker. Mm-hmm. And 3 years ago I didn't know Pastor Walker.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our friends that we differ politically, and we've discussed politics. Yes. And sometimes we get our voices might get a little heated, but there's no problem at all.
Nobody gets their feelings hurt.
And no one gets their feelings hurt. There's still, people scratching their head, understanding, why in the world would you vote for this person? They think we may think we're nuts a little bit, but we get along and we can talk about it. And one of my dear friends is head of the local SCLC. If you'd have told me 5 years ago that one of my best friends is going to be the president of the SCLC, I said, you lost your mind.
And he is a wonderful man.
He's just a wonderful
man.
Now, he's one we differ with politically. Yeah. And but I tell you an interesting story about him. We went. The SCLC has a annual banquet every year, and several people from our group went. Dan and his wife went, and London and I went. And from my perspective, it was just horrible. The speaker was, in my opinion, he was a racist. He was just a jerk.
Don't hold back, John.
Yeah, it's just
have to edit
jerk.
that out. I don't know.
So anyway, they had this big, bunch of people gave him a standing ovation. Well, we were the only table that didn't give him a standing ovation. And when I left the place, my wife said, "We're not coming back here." And that was a sentiment for many of us. And so we mentioned that to James yesterday. Yeah. And he was a little bit, he wasn't surprised because I don't think he liked it. And he wasn't surprised.
And don't you think he didn't like it? Maybe 3 years ago, he might have been okay with it.
3 years ago, he might have been okay with it because he figured we deserved it.
Yeah.
But, he wants to change the mission, not the mission, but the aura, the culture around the SCLC where it is more inclusive and we work on problems together. One of the things we're really looking forward to this coming year is we've had several representatives for Stillman College that have been coming on a regular basis. And there's a program that they have that identifies projects to work on. Well, they never have been able to get anybody in the white community interested in that. So we're going to sort of fold this into some of the programs we do at our church. And so hopefully we can get a bigger pool of workers, and that people in different parts of the community can see black men and white men working together to solve problems. And so we're looking forward to that. One of the things we are also, and it was sort of funny, is we are an all men's group.
Yeah.
And Pastor Walker Kennedy he said, if you get women in here, he said most men they're going to clam up. They're not going to say anything. And so we said, okay, we'll keep the women out for this group.
Although our wives always want to know what's going on.
Our wives always want to know what's, and it is a funny thing. They actually formed and they'll probably form another one, formed a Bible study group together, their own group. And so anyway, Dan, you got anything else to?
No, if there are any pastors who just whatever reason are watching this video, sure love to have you join us. And by the way, speaking of joining us, we'd sure love it if you would like and subscribe to our channel. Yeah,
that'd be great. Another thing is if you are listening to this, I think I'd want to learn more about this. Maybe we can do something like that at our church or our little community. Give us a shout because we have an agenda of what people should go through that has been tested. We've got. We could probably have some people on our group help act as a facilitator if you needed that. We have some people that have gone through it. It's not it looks easy now on the high run, but we went through some rough times. We had
some tense moments.
Tense moments. We had one of the guys. He pushed the book that I wrote out in the middle of the table. And he said, "This is all BS." And
that was a tense moment.
That was a tense moment, and but we got through it. And some other things that were very interesting is one time one of our guys asked the question. He says, "What's critical race theory?" And we went around and we said, "Okay, everybody's going to tell what you think of critical race theory." So we go around the room, and for the most part, our black friends said it's merely about recognizing the history. The white folks said this is an anti-white program, and it was almost like 100%. And the perception based upon the color of your skin was just so. The solution is don't talk about critical race theory. Yeah. Call it something else. The same also thing, and we learned that there are buzzwords that can set people off. The word woke is going to set people off. Conservative, Republican, Democrat. Those are words that are not useful words in the dialogue. And the reason they're not useful words is they mean different things to different people.
Right.
And so you don't believe what you see. You see what you believe. And so it's very important to be able to understand someone's belief system before you start throwing stuff out there, because they're going to see it differently.
the thing that has made our group continually successful, and this may have been mentioned, but the Holy Spirit's been right in the middle of everything. Everything's been seen through the lens of the Holy Spirit, and that's brought the respect and the dignity and all those things.
Yeah, another thing we do is we go to church events together. We went, I guess it was 2 years ago, our entire group went through a freedom course and attended a freedom conference at Church of the Highlands.
2 years ago.
Go to men's night where you eat a bunch of low country boil and
Whatever to be this
you
year.
know, listen to the speaker. So anyway,
Visited other churches.
we visit other churches. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, guys.
that's all I got.
All right, that's all I got. See you in a little bit.
As I said, please like and subscribe and keep watching. We'll have videos come out on a regular basis.
Yep. Please.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.